Hello and welcome to YNWA Transfer News, your ultimate source for all Liverpool FC transfer news. Our first news is this. Liverpool transfer news, 70 meters Ibrahima Konate successor identified by the Reds. Liverpool expect to very probably lose Ibrahima Konate during the next summer transfer window. The English club wish to anticipate his departure and have already identified his successor. Valued at 70 million out of contract in June 2026, Ibrahima Konate will in all likelihood leave Liverpool at the end of the season. Real Madrid are in pole position to welcome the French defender. Despite the recruitment of Giovanni Leone this summer, the Reds need a more experienced player to accompany Virgil van Dijk. Several profiles are being studied by the English directors. The most credible target is the one that leads to Marc Guehi. The Crystal Palace captain was moreover very close to joining Liverpool this summer, but the transfer collapsed in the final minutes of the transfer window. If he remains a priority for the English club, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich are also interested. According to information from the Daily Express, Liverpool could fall back on Ousmane Diomande. Liverpool thinking about Ousmane Diomande to replace Konate. Indeed, the British media state that if the Marc Guehi matter becomes too complicated, then the Ousmane Diomande case will become much more concrete. The Sporting Portugal centre-back is valued at 45 million euros, 38.5 million euros, but possesses a clause set at 80 million euros, 68 million euros. Last summer, he was heavily courted on the market, but the Lisbon club managed to keep him. At 21 years old, Ousmane Diomande is considered one of the greatest talents on the African continent. The Ivory Coast international, 9 caps, has been the stalwart of Sporting's defense for 2 years. Measuring 1.90 meters, he has a profile that greatly appeals to Liverpool. However, he was the victim of an injury at the start of the season. The English club will certainly analyze his physical condition before potentially taking action. Jurgen Klopp makes honest Darwin Nunez admission and opens up on relationship with ex-Liverpool ace. Jurgen Klopp has admitted that signing Darwin Nunez didn't go to plan for Liverpool after he was brought in for a fee of around 115 million, 85 million, from Benfica in 2022. But the German has also insisted that he had a good relationship with the Uruguayan, even though he was not always particularly close to the striker. On the day of Klopp's last game in charge, Nunez drew some criticism for a muted reception towards the departing Liverpool legend. "We had an absolutely good relationship," Klopp said on the Diary of a CEO podcast. "As good as can be when a striker is not scoring as often as he wants, as the people want, and as I think he could. With a striker who didn't play as often as definitely he wants, how can you have a fantastic relationship?" I didn't see the picture from his last game in charge, but I heard about it. If he would be the number one who was jumping after me and crying his eyes out and hugging me for 10 minutes, I would have been asking, "Okay, what is going on here?" It is a completely normal situation. My first concern cannot be to please everybody. It is just not possible in that job. The first problem starts with 25 players and 11 starting positions. More players are not happy that you make happy. That is where the problem starts. I'm pretty sure he had super moments at Liverpool and we had super moments together. On my last day, if I would have been him, I would have thought as well, okay, the next one is a big chance for me. Players do that. If it goes really well, it is not that they think thanks to the coach. If it doesn't, they think maybe he doesn't bring me on often enough. We are humans. We are all the same. Maybe they do more for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but then they think he is still not picking me. You cannot always have harmony and flowers. It is a competitive environment and you need to perform to get what you think you deserve. Klopp has also outlined that his relationship with Michael Edwards and other key figures behind the scenes was always good. During his spell on Merseyside, it was Julian Ward at the helm when Nunez was signed. But just like every other signing in that period, Nunez was someone that everyone agreed was the right move to make, Klopp said. "We decided to sign him all together," he explained. "We would have loved to sign him for less money, but that wasn't possible in that moment. We wanted to have an extra option. We had Bobby Firmino, the best false 9 in the world, and we needed someone with more speed. We had Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo. Great. But what player don't we have? I thought Cody can play a little bit like Bobby, but he is much better on the wing. We all signed Darwin together, but no problem to admit that it didn't work out as good as it could. But without Darwin, so many good things wouldn't have happened. The biggest comeback of all times against Newcastle. I loved that day. Gary Lineker responds to Wayne Rooney's Alexander Isak theory as Liverpool stunned. Gary Lineker has called on Liverpool to be patient with Alexander Isak, who is yet to find his feet at Anfield following a record-breaking £125 million transfer from Newcastle United. The forward has struggled to make an impact in the Premier League since his summer move. His latest goalless outing was during Liverpool's 2-1 defeat to Manchester United on Sunday afternoon. Despite being picked over Hugo Ekitike as the main striker and playing for 72 minutes, Isak couldn't break his duck, contributing to Liverpool's fourth consecutive loss. Given the hefty fee and the effort that went into securing his services, there are high expectations for Isak at Liverpool. The Sweden international has so far been unable to meet them. This has led to calls from former England star Wayne Rooney for Isak to be relegated to the bench. Speaking on the Wayne Rooney show, he said, "I wouldn't play Isak. He hasn't looked ready since coming from Newcastle. He hasn't trained, hasn't had a pre-season. It's so important." While Newcastle were training, he was probably sat at home on the phone to his agent for 6 hours a day trying to get a move. It's so difficult when you don't have a pre-season. He might have done stuff by himself, but he's paying the price of it. On performances, he doesn't deserve to be playing ahead of Ekitike. However, Lineker disagrees with Rooney and believes that Liverpool should give Isak more time. Given his disrupted preseason, I would say that because of the length of time all of that debacle took place, he wouldn't be as fit and as fresh, so he's playing catch-up, Lineker argued on the Rest is Football. When you miss preseason, it's almost like an injured player coming back. So I would actually give him a little bit more time because he's only played a handful of games. It's almost like he's going through preseason during a real season. So I would give him a little bit of time on that front, and I think he'll come good because he's such a classy player. Fellow pundit Micah Richards took a harsher view of the striker, drawing comparisons between his current displays and those during his spell at Newcastle. Isak is the shadow of the player. This whole debacle of what happened in the summer, it's showing. He's not fit, he said. Arne Slot said in the press conference before that, now we're going to see the real Isak, because he looks like he's going to be fit now. But the chance that he had in the game, if he's at Newcastle, he tucks that away. Liverpool will aim to get back to winning ways and halt the run of defeats when they return to Champions League action on Wednesday night. The Reds head to Germany to face Eintracht Frankfurt. Jurgen Klopp clears up Michael Edwards' theory and explains relationship with FSG boss. Former Liverpool manager. Jurgen Klopp says he had a really good relationship with Michael Edwards and believes the current sporting director Richard Hughes, who came in from Bournemouth last year, is doing an incredible job. Klopp has dismissed the idea that he ever had a falling out with Edwards, who stepped away from Liverpool when Klopp was at the helm, but has since returned in a more wide-ranging role for Fenway Sports Group, where he is CEO of football. Hughes, meanwhile, was made the Reds' sporting director in 2024. But while some have speculated that Edwards and Klopp didn't get on, given the exit and then return of the former, the ex-Liverpool boss has outlined how the transfer process worked and how closely aligned they were. The journalists asked me when I arrived, because they implemented a transfer committee and they didn't want the manager to decide, and I said no problem with that, Klopp said on the Diary of a CEO podcast. I'm used to not getting all the players I want, but that anybody in the club can bring in a player you don't agree on, that is not possible. It's very normal in football that the manager doesn't get all the players they want. As long as the transfer window is open, you try and create the best possible squad. On the day after the transfer window, you have the best possible squad no matter which transfers you have made. And that's the way you go into the rest of the season. I have a really good relationship with Michael Edwards, and he is really great with what he is doing. But it was not on one day his job alone to bring in players. There was Julian Ward, Ian Graham, and so many people who were involved. It was a process, we were really close together. We know football players. Negotiating and finding the right moment to sell and to buy, that is the sporting director's job. That's what Edwards was before, and Richard Hughes is now there doing an incredible job. People from outside are idolizing. Definitely some with me and some with Michael. But we didn't do the job alone. It was always a really good partnership, and it worked together really well. It didn't have a lot of disagreements. It's a process, and a football team is an open book. Everyone can read it every day. If we want to add something, it should not be a surprise. You think we need a left back? We have already 4. That doesn't happen. It is a work in progress all the time. Did Klopp always get on with Edwards and the rest of the recruitment team? 100%, he insisted. Michael definitely, and Richard I don't know, Klopp added. We spoke quite a few times after I left, and I like him. They did an incredible job, honestly. I always said that I need other people to understand things. My own opinion I know already, so how can you get a better view? Discussing with people. The final decision I have to make, and I have no problem with that. But for that, I need all the people involved. If we want to have an argument, have an argument. And in the end, I will make the decision. Liverpool star fears his time at Anfield is over. One Liverpool star feels his time at Anfield might be over. Are the Reds really ready to move on? Liverpool have some major decisions to make in the summer as they have a series of contracts expiring. Yes, we're doing this again. The entirety of last season was dominated by contract issues, with Mo Salah, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Virgil van Dijk all on expiring deals. 2 of them remained, of course, but Alexander-Arnold took the chance to leave. Now the Reds are left with a similar situation. The most high profile is Ibrahima Konate, who is yet to commit his future to Anfield despite attempts from Liverpool to get him to sign. In fact, they've been working at it for around a year now. Interest from Real Madrid complicates matters, however, as Los Blancos are reportedly doing what they can to sign the Frenchman. We'll see what comes of that, but Konate isn't the only worrying contract situation. There's another in the first team setup who's coming at things from a very different angle. Andy Robertson's future. Andy Robertson's contract with Liverpool will also expire this summer. Unlike Konate, though, he's not in a particularly strong position when it comes to renewing it. That's largely because Robertson doesn't know if he's got a first XI place with the Reds. The left-back spot has been the Scot since 2017, but he lost it this summer to Milos Kerkez. Rightly or wrongly, but it leaves Robertson unsure of what to do. That's according to Football Insider, who claim he's uncertain of his future at Liverpool. He may not want to sign a new contract simply to be a backup then. That's the major worry here, and it's one that invites extra competition. Plenty of clubs will be willing to offer Robertson a starting role. Now, there's still a way to go here. Robertson may well win back his starting spot as there's not any particular rush with Kerkez. He's still a very young player after all. So we'll have to see how the season goes. If Robertson does win that spot back, we imagine he'll re-sign. Otherwise, this could well be the end of the road. Arne Slot's bizarre midfield setup goes viral. Where is the midfield? Has become an increasingly asked question from Liverpool supporters, with a viral image from the defeat against Man United putting Arne Slot under the microscope. Liverpool slumped to their worst run of form since November 2014 with their 4th consecutive defeat in all competitions, as the pressure builds on Slot to show what his plan is. The team look a shadow of their former selves, and the idea of killing a team with passes is nowhere to be seen. Instead, Liverpool's build-up structure has gaping holes. In the aftermath of the defeat to Man United, an image of Liverpool's midfield setup has gone viral, viewed hundreds of thousands of times, due to there being no midfielders in midfield. The snapshot below from the first half shows Milos Kerkez in possession and 0 Liverpool players in the center circle. Ryan Gravenberch blocked by Brian Mbeumo and no simple pass across to Ibrahima Konate. Liverpool's midfield at the time: Gravenberch, Dominic Szoboszlai, and Alexis Mac Allister are all positioned on the left side of the pitch, with Mac Allister barely even in the shot. It left Alexander Isak and Mohamed Salah isolated, and it is no surprise then that Liverpool's build-up play is as stunted as it is, with no players presenting for the ball, as they instead surge forward It leaves sizable gaps if the ball is turned over and the player in possession has little choice but to play the ball backwards or force a poor pass forward. Against United, Slot ended the match with Florian Wirtz and Curtis Jones as his midfield pairing, furthering the disconnect with two players whose instinct is to be ahead of the ball. The plan appears to be that there is no plan, with Slot's decision to load his team with offensive-minded players only resulting in defeats. After the match, he said, "We do take a lot of risk in the moment. After 55 minutes, I think we had 6 or 7 offensive players on the pitch. That might also maybe not be an excuse, but be the reason why the structure in defending a set piece against Crystal Palace and now was not as perfect as we usually are, because normally you play with 4, 5, 6 defensive-minded players, but at that moment we are on the pitch with 7 or 8 offensive-minded players. That's not an excuse because they should do better. We should do better, but maybe it's not a coincidence that exactly in those moments of time we concede a set piece." Thank you for watching. Like and comment. Subscribe.